Welcome to the Viking Age podcast. It's the official podcast of the VikingAge.com. My name is Chris Schad. I work for Fansided and Zone Coverage. He is Adam Patrick, lead NFL editor for Fansided. And we do this right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day. But however you consume us, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, all the cool stuff, so you never miss a new episode and we can spread the word to the masses. Adam, it's been too damn long. It's been 2 weeks since we've had a show. And not for us really, because we were in Phoenix. So we were talking Vikings all the time. There just wasn't an audience, but it gave us a chance to reflect on the Vikings offseason so far. And because of that, I thought it'd be a good time to do some overreactions, how the offseason has transpired, maybe what we're feeling ahead of the draft, that sort of thing. So if you're game to freak out, I'm down to yell and scream.
I'm ready.
That's a very convincing response.
I'm ready. Yeah. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready to go, ready to overreact, just like everyone else has done this offseason, because it feels like that's all that has happened this offseason. Maybe that's an overreaction, but that's how I feel.
Well, as usual, do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. What do we got?
I'll just get it right off the start here. Let me find my first overreaction because I'm very prepared.
Don't worry, I'm going to be typing the captions as you give this overreaction. So we're both on the same page.
Hey, we were gone for 2 weeks, and I think we actually picked up some subscribers. So maybe we should go away more often. I feel like
I know we're at 1,200 subscribers now, which is huge. So to those of you who have subscribed, the OG subscribers, thank you. Yeah. To those of you who have told people, thank you. And to those of you who had just discovered us, I don't know. Please stick around.
All right, let's get right into it. Overreaction number one from the offseason / free agency / pre-draft. The Vikings should trade Jordan Addison. The Vikings need more draft picks. They have 4 currently. They could trade back or whatever and get, I don't know, a second and a third, maybe. They probably will. I'd be very surprised if they don't trade back in the first round. I'd be pretty shocked. With Jordan Addison, I feel like he's a good player. He's really good. I think he had 19 touchdowns his first 2 years with the Vikings. But I don't think his production is not replaceable. I feel like they could probably find a receiver in the first or second round of this year's draft and replace him with one of those guys who are cheaper and more maybe reliable in the offseason. Secondly, I guess thirdly, the Vikings seem to be gearing up to run a more physical type of offense next season that possibly, I don't want to overreact to this, possibly has them running the ball more. I don't want to assume Kevin O'Connell's going to run more and then have him go back to what he's usually doing is passing the ball up. But what they've been doing with the offensive line, trading for Jordan Mason, it just seems like they're trying to get more physical on offense, and that seems like Jordan Addison's role might be more diminished next year, or they might not need him as much, where maybe TJ Hawkinson is the number 2 pass option in the offense instead of Jordan Addison. So there's that, and then Addison's likely going to get suspended to begin the season, whether he's found guilty or whatever of his current charges that he acquired from his stupidity last summer, and so he's already shown twice he can't be trusted during the offseason, so there's no reason to believe that at this point he can be trusted this summer or this offseason. I just think the Vikings should try and get what they can for him now. He's one of the few players I think that they can get something for, because he's still on his rookie contract. He's still young. He can be productive. He could arguably probably be a number 1 receiver for a couple teams. I'm not saying that, that makes him good. That just means that the other teams don't really have a number one receiving option that's as good as him. But yeah, I think the Vikings should trade Jordan Addison this offseason. And not for somebody who I thought they should trade him for, who got in trouble earlier today, and now I look like an idiot, and I'll own up to that. So that's for another podcast. But yeah, I think they should trade him.
Tyreek Hill just seems like a great dude, doesn't he?
He's an idiot.
Just putting toddlers in arm bars and domestic violence.
Good thing he got all that money so he can pay for all of his legal bills and all of his kids.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd just be him and Anthony Edwards' kids battling it out someday. I probably shouldn't go down that road, but let's get back. Let's speed down the highway and talk about Jordan Addison. I just decided to look up T. Higgins' contract. 4 years, $115 million with the Cincinnati Bengals. I bring that up because the Bengals just paid Jamar Chase a massive chunk of money as well, and it's a similar situation than the Vikings will be in a couple of years. The best front offices keep an eye out for the future. They're always one step ahead. And I think Addison is a very productive player. If he has one more year, he could probably push to get that T. Higgins contract because I think Higgins has 2,000 yard receiving seasons. Addison does not have one yet, but he came very close last year because he missed 2 or 3 games with an ankle injury. And you also have the off the field stuff, which we'll see what happens this year. I mean, like I said, I think you need to give that guy the Robin Big treatment, where you just have a big dude next to him and be like, you're not doing anything stupid, okay? Not that Rob Trydeck did stupid stuff, just, you know.
He did.
It
didn't make other people, it didn't put other people in harm's way. Like, he did stupid stuff where he could get hurt and maybe some of his friends, but not innocent people, on the highway while driving drunk.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's just a dude who's basically his real life conscience. I like
who's that, Ryan Kelly? Do you want Ryan Kelly you want him to hang out with Ryan Kelly all summer?
Nobody's going to mess with him. That's for damn sure. Just like with that chiseled jaw. Yeah. I want the Vikings to keep Addison for this year. I want to see him. And I mean, maybe that backfires. Maybe he does something stupid off the field again or whatever. But if you get one more year out of Addison and then you say, well, we don't really want to pay this guy, you can shop him and maybe even get more in return a year from now. But I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's a very touchy subject because like fans do this. Like they'll look at their own players and be like, huh, Asante Shanko, you can't trade him. Like, look at him. He does all this stuff. Like, why would you trade him? And I think Jordan Addison is a very good receiver. He could be a number one on several teams, but I feel like it's unless you're doing, the Sauce Gardner trade that somebody floated out there, which isn't happening. Like, I would just keep him. He's effective when he's on the field. Yeah, you're going to miss him for 3 games. I'm very curious to see how the Vikings navigate that in free agency in the draft in the coming months, because Jalen Naylor ain't it, as the kids say. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Well, they got Rondale Moore.
They did. Pew, pew.
Well, these are overreactions, so it's not like
yes.
I'm not like pounding the table to trade Jordan Addison, but at the same time, I feel like waiting another year to the point where like everyone knows that you don't want to pay him and you want to trade him kind of diminishes his trade value. So that's why I think like if they're going to trade him, I think this year would be the year to do it. Similar to trying to think, I can't. But you mentioned looking to the future where like a team like the Niners last year they drafted Ricky Pearsall. This year they traded Deebo Samuel.
Look at the Niners buyer's remorse.
Right.
That Brandon Ayuk deal. They're trying to trade him.
Well, they didn't know he was gonna tear his ACL or whatever too.
That was just because like there's reports too. Like
they should have traded him.
Yeah, like the Ayuk didn't want to stay, and the Niners didn't really want him, but they're like, "Well, here's a contract." And he's like, "Okay, sure," but
they don't seem to have like very good, I don't know, relationships off the field with their players. Like they cut their fullback and then they re-signed him, and then all the Brock Purdy stuff that's probably going to go through the summer of should they pay him or not?
They sure as hell better. They gutted the damn team.
Yeah, but he doesn't have anyone to throw to anymore.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't want to say. He's like, well, wait. I don't want to do this. Like,
Right.
this is
Yeah.
this is ridiculous.
Alrighty, what do you got?
All right. Excuse me, gotta clear my throat for this one. My first overreaction is about the offensive line. Because what would a Vikings show be without the offensive line? I love what they've done. I love how it looks right now, but it's still a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
Let's back things up. You've been living under a rock or whatever. I'm just gonna run through it. You sign Ryan Kelly. You sign Will Fries. You replace the Garrett Bradbury. You replace that Ingram. You get a 6th-round pick for Ingram and somehow turn it into Jordan Addison. That's crazy. And your current starting offensive line is Darrisaw. What's that? What did I call?
You said you turn it into Jordan Addison.
Oh, yep, Jordan Mason. My apologies. Your current starting offensive line is Christian Darrisaw, Blake Brandel, Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, and Brian O'Neill. I trust that group a lot more than probably any offensive line in the past 10 or 15 years with the Minnesota Vikings. And it looks great until you read the fine print. I look at that, and I mean, this is Minnesota me. This is, the worst possible thing can happen. I mean, Kirill Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson Acker coming back tonight, and I'm thinking one little hit.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards almost had a scare, a couple of days ago?
Yeah, and then they blew a 24-point lead in the 4th quarter last night. I don't really want to get into that. Will Fries got the bag, and there were a lot of teams willing to give it to him, so maybe this is overblown. His highest grade before last season, according to Pro Football Focus, was 63.9. He posted an 86.9 overall grade last year, but that was before he broke his leg, so it was only on like 260 snaps.
Yep.
I wonder, is this a case of a one-year wonder or a player that is coming into his own? The fact that other teams were willing to give him a lot of money makes me think it's the latter, but you have to account for both scenarios. You can't just go, oh, it's Will Fries. We fixed it. Ryan Kelly looks like he will murder your family and laugh, but he allowed 10 quarterback hits over the past 5 seasons. Garrett Bradbury had 12 over the last 2 or something like that. But he's also had neck and knee injuries, which is why he was available.
Mm-hmm.
So does he last around? And really, his contract is only 1 year because there's no guaranteed money in the second year. So does he last around for the long term? Brian O'Neill is closer to the age of 30. I think he'll be fine for the next couple of years. He's been elite, but that age cliff comes quickly. And then you have Christian Darrisaw, who's coming back from a multi-ligament knee injury, and I think he'll be fine when he gets back on the field. But remember last year when we were sitting here with TJ Hawkinson, he's like, well, rehab's going great. And, we're putting out benchmarks. Oh, so you're going to be back for the, he didn't come back till November.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes me concerned as well. And then there's Blake Brandel, where you could say ships rise with the tide or whatever the saying is. He also had a 64.9 overall grade beside Darrisaw, which isn't bad, but it was a 50.7 overall grade and 36 quarterback pressures playing next to Cam Robinson. So if Darrisaw is not back in week 1, you got a pretty big problem on your hands to start the season. And even then, Brandel wasn't a shutdown guy. So long story short, this is just a long-winded way of saying, I think offensive line should be the target in round 1. I know you need a corner. Maybe you need some younger guys to develop on the defensive line because those aren't spring chickens either. Can you trade down and fill those holes and get value? I think the second part is key because you don't want another 2022 class. But Gray Zabel, I think Kelvin Banks from Texas, that's the name of that guy. Like somebody in that mold, late first round, early second round. That is where I'm going with the first round pick. And I'm not going to be, the best part is the Vikings can do whatever the hell they want. And I'm not going to be upset really. Like there are a few things like outside of taking Jackson Dart or something. I don't think I'd be upset, but
no. That's the benefit of, I guess, having a lot of money in free agency is that going into this draft, the Vikings don't really have like a desperate need, which is something you couldn't really say, the last couple of years. But yeah, with the offensive line, you look at Ryan Kelly and Will Fries, and you have to wonder, why did the Colts, who have a young quarterback who you would think you'd want a good offensive line to be in front of him, especially Anthony Richardson, who every time he gets hit, he just taps out and has to take a break. They would want Will Fries and Ryan Kelly to be there if they were as good as everyone says they are. Maybe they just didn't want to pay them though. Maybe they've wanted to cut costs and start fresh elsewhere and get cheaper on the offensive line, which doesn't really seem very smart. But it's the Colts; they haven't made the playoffs.
Do the Colts really want Anthony Richardson to succeed at this
Yeah,
point?
I don't know. Maybe they did that on purpose.
Jim Irsay and Pat McAfee just like, yeah, bro, we're gonna take him out. Yeah, just get rid of him.
And then the Ryan Kelly thing. He's only on a 1-year deal. Brian O'Neill, I think he might. He's a sneaky candidate. I feel like for an extension this offseason.
Yeah, I don't think he has any guaranteed money.
Yeah,
left.
like a small one or something. I bet you they'll do that. But otherwise, he could be on. It could be he could be on the way out. So like depth wise, I feel like the Vikings, at least in the draft, they should be adding at least probably 1 or 2 offensive linemen in the draft. And then one of our guys over at the Viking Age, Brad, wrote about this today. Actually, I think Doogie said it on Score North, one of his scoop sessions or whatever, that they're thinking about playing Walter Rouse at guard, and maybe he could challenge for the left guard spot with Blake Brandel. So I guess that's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, left guard is like the biggest question mark. But yeah, it's like you said, like this offensive line on paper is probably one of the best they've put together in the last 10 or 15 years. But getting on the field is a different story because they have to stay healthy for the majority of the season for it to work out.
And I think even then, I just want some depth. Like hoping Walter Rouse and Michael Juergens develop is not a good strategy. Like,
well, and like if one guy, like say Ryan Kelly goes down, or Will Fries or Brian O'Neill, you don't want to have to worry about. Oh no, they're going to put David Quesenberry in. Like you would like to have.
We got to trade another pick to get an offensive lineman.
You would like to have at least one offensive lineman, or maybe even 2, who can you can plug in if needed, and not be so worried about their performance. But I guess that's why they're backups, and you only have so many spots on a regular season roster, so that's kind of hard to do sometimes.
I have nothing more to say. I pretty much summed it up. Like,
all right,
big meaty men bumping meat.
Right.
I was gonna say smoking meat. I don't know.
That's you. They can do that. It's
usually when you get some barbecue, if you got a big dude at the smoker, you're in.
Probably gonna be good. Yeah. They know how to eat. It's proof right there under their shirt. Here we go. Overreaction number 2 for me. I'm gonna go with Kirk Cousins. Because what would be a show without talking about Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins will not be reuniting with the Vikings this offseason. There are some people who believe that Kirk Cousins could find his way back to Minnesota because the Vikings still need a veteran backup. However, I believe that Kirk would still like to be a starter somewhere. I think he could still help a team out. Last year was just weird coming off the Achilles and being in a new offense and everything. I think it was just a bunch of things that played into his struggles last year. So yeah, there's still teams that could offer him a starting job, and the Vikings are not one of them because they're clearly moving forward with JJ McCarthy as QB1, whether they say it or not. He is QB1.
Are they?
Yeah,
are they waiting on Aaron? It's Aaron Rodgers waiting by his phone.
What's the McAfee show or whatever's going on, right? The Pittsburgh thing or whatever's going on now, right? So maybe we'll find out. Yeah, whatever. Maybe this changes after the draft, but I feel like Cousins would still probably like to be somewhere where he can at least compete to be a starter. So you look at a team maybe like the Steelers, who Aaron Rodgers is, currently just toying with at this point. And then maybe like a team like the Browns because of the Stefanski connection. So I don't think I don't think the Vikings are gonna give up any assets or resources to reacquire Kirk Cousins and have him be on the bench and say, let's just say JJ McCarthy struggles and have people in the stands being like, put Cousins in, because that
Yeah.
would just create an unnecessary circus of drama. But maybe the Vikings want that because they seem to like being involved in a circus.
They like the attention. They're just like, oh, we're getting talked about
They
on
do.
The
They
Athletic.
do.
Let's
Yeah.
drag them along. Like, yeah, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
not? Um, the first thing that comes to mind is how bad did Atlanta fumble this whole thing? Like signing.
yeah.
I get the fact why they signed Kirk last March, like just at the moment, just like,
Mhm.
hey, we've had quarterback issues all the time. Like, we need to sign him. But then they go ahead, they draft Penix at 8, and they only have 4 picks in this draft. It might
Yeah.
be 5, but they have 4 picks. They have no cap space because Kirk basically put him over a
It's Kirk.
barrel, and you're dealing with the
Yeah.
greatest businessman of all time. So,
Mhm.
I mean, the worst part is he's got a no trade clause in his contract. So he's, I don't think I'm going to do that. You want to trade me? I'm not going to be like the aspect of him coming back to be a backup for JJ McCarthy. I don't think appeals to him at all. Like, I think
No.
he wants to be a starter. I think Cleveland's going to be the team that trades for him. Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
maybe, but I feel like Pittsburgh,
I think that's got to be it for Rodgers.
yeah, if like Rodgers just goes, I'm
Because
just,
who else are they? Who are they gonna? They're gonna go with. Who do they even have? Mason Rudolph.
no, he's a free agent. I
Yeah.
think he went to Tennessee,
No, they
didn't
signed
he?
him. No, he was with Tennessee last year,
Gotcha.
and Pittsburgh re-signed him this
Okay.
year. I think Ryan Tannehill could end up with the Steelers because of the Arthur Smith
Yeah,
connection.
maybe. But I mean, there's really no other. The Falcons too. Like, what are the odds they just keep him as a back? I think there's 0.0 because
No,
I don't know, man. I mean, you're gonna have him as
not
your
if teams are
backup.
willing to trade. Yeah, not if teams are willing to trade for him, because at the very least, you just want to be able to just get something in
But
return.
Cleveland's got to take
for
on
him.
that
You made him.
contract then, unless like
Yeah,
they
that's true.
send like a
No, I
better
think.
pick back.
What did the was the Texans that
Brock Osweiler trade.
signed Brock Osweiler? Yeah, and they were just like, yeah, we'll just pay for it. Just take him. Who did they trade him to?
The
They traded
Browns.
him to. Oh
Let
yeah,
me
that's right.
see here.
And the Texans were just like, yeah, we'll just pay for all this. Just get
Got
him
it dialed up here. So
Well, and the Broncos just did that with Russell Wilson.
they released him.
Yeah, but they ate all that
Correct.
dead cap money.
Yes.
Because no one was going to trade for that guy.
So Cleveland received Brock Osweiler and a 2nd-round pick from the Texans
Oh my god.
and a 6th-round pick. Houston got a 2017 4th-round pick and saved $10 million in cap space. So the Texans traded him to the Browns. That's what happened. So, all right.
So the Texans were like, yeah,
They gave him a 2nd-round pick to get rid of him. I mean, that's like an NBA trade. That's basically what it has to be. It's
cash.
NBA trade. You know what drives me nuts?
Cash
Yeah,
consideration.
what drives me nuts in the draft is like when they would sell picks like at the end, like the Timberwolves are on the clock. No, they sold them for cash considerations. So what does that do for us?
What is it even? We'll consider some cash. We'll consider, paying
Get you
in
some
cash.
Jersey
We'll
Mikes
think
the
about
next
it.
time we meet up, Glenn. We can feed you. Yeah.
Get you a Target
Yeah, I
gift
mean
card.
it's over. Move on. I mean, I like the idea at first, but like when you mentioned the whole like you're gonna have the psycho Kirk stands like he's so much better than JJ McCarthy, put him in.
Yeah.
But they all have squeaky voices.
I just don't want to. The Vikings made a great decision, arguably maybe the best decision in Kwesi Adofo-Mensah's career to move on from Kirk Cousins and just put his foot down and say, no, we're not going to pay you that much. So just go to the Falcons, who are competing with absolutely no one, but feel the need to tamper anyways. And so
yeah, that 5th-round pick would.
What about the Jets? Like, I know they signed Justin Fields, but like, and they have Tyrod Taylor, but
Is it Tyrod or Tyrod?
that's true. That's true. I forgot about that 1 year where he was like,
It's Tyrod.
Tyrod.
Reminds me of my sister.
Like or even like a team like the Dolphins because of Tua's unreliability to protect himself.
Yeah. I don't know.
There just aren't a lot of teams. But I feel like those teams, Cousins would have more of a chance to play than he would with McCarthy, and he wouldn't have as much of attention on him that he and elsewhere that he would if he was with Minnesota, because that would be a huge story if he came back, even as a backup.
Finished off like Brad Johnson in 2006. He was a starter, and then he came back for.
Yeah, weren't the Vikings like 6-10 in 2006?
Actually, I don't think it was 2006. It might have been 2005 then.
No, it was 2006. I remember. I think Chester Taylor. That was his first year, and he went for 1,000. And then they drafted Peterson.
And that worked out well. Speaking of draft, we're 2 weeks out. And I think everybody's going to be hitting the internet and they're going to be looking for the old mock drafts. This is probably my old man take of the show, but mock drafts are a completely pointless exercise. and I know a quick how the sausage is made conversation. It drives plenty of traffic. We love mock drafts if we're running a website. As a contributor, I fucking love them because you know why? Because I got paid off of them. So they were great. I always loved writing them. It's great. We have too many. We have too many mock drafts. They're in every freaking corner of the internet. They're an unnecessary dose of anxiety, and you just talk in circles. Let me pull up the 2022 NFL draft right after the combine from Chad Reuter. This is not a slam on Chad. I want to make this clear, but this is just like how mock drafts work.
You should have brought the Tannenbaum.
Did he have a recent one?
Where he had Will Levis,
Well, this is pretty good. So in this mock draft, which is right after the 2022 combine, he had Malik Willis going with the 3rd overall pick. So it's funny you mentioned that number because he was up there. Kenny Pickett at 9 to the Denver Broncos. Sam Howell to the Steelers at 10. Matt Corral to the former Vikings legend Matt Corral to the Commanders at 11. He had the Vikings taking Derek Stingley Jr. at 12. He went 3rd overall.
That'd been great, actually.
Sauce Gardner fell to 18 to the Eagles.
18.
Yeah, and Desmond Ridder to the Lions at 32. And I get it. I know. I mean, hell, let's look at the 2023 draft. Who remembers 25-year-old Hendon Hooker as a first-round prospect, huh? Like, that was fun, right? Will Levis is totally going in the 1st round. He eats mayo and looks like Steve the Pirate from Dodgeball, but hell, let's get him in there. Even last year, who had Michael Penix going to the Falcons after they signed Cousins? Absolutely nobody. Or 14 straight offensive players going off the board to begin the draft.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a March Madness bracket, basically. Like we just sit there, we fill it out, and oh, yeah, we're wrong. Oh well, whatever. And like even these beat reporters who do it, like they're just like smoke screens, just like, oh, yeah, they're Vikings could totally take Jackson Dart in the 1st round. Nobody's saying that. I'm just saying I'm bringing up Jackson Dart a lot because that's what's pissing me off. It's like Jackson Dart's a 1st round prospect. Did you watch him? He played in the easiest scheme in the SEC. So no, like let's stop this here because I mean, I know it's the NFL draft and like mock drafts are like part of the excitement, like NBA mock draft. Okay, Cooper Flagg's going number 1. Everybody else sucks. But I can watch a guy in a gas mask bomb torpedo his draft stock on draft night. Hell yeah, sign me up. So
that was amazing.
That was probably, what is your favorite sidebar? What's your favorite NFL draft? I have one, but it's not technically mine, but it's pretty good. Laramie Tunsil gas mask bong is on top.
That's pretty good. Favorite, but disappointing to the Vikings is when they forgot to hand their pick in 2003.
Yeah, it's pretty
Kevin
good.
Williams. And then I did enjoy CeeDee Lamb stealing his phone back from his girlfriend when they were waiting to get picked by the Cowboys.
There was a guy on my flight back to Sioux Falls the other day that had 2 phones, and he was like maybe 10 years older than me.
The Sioux
Yeah,
Falls?
I had the Kevin
What are you
Gates
doing with
song. Kevin Gates is so cool. He's got 2 phones. So I don't know. One was on Snapchat and the other was on Message. So I don't know.
I really enjoyed the pandemic draft of like everyone just like being at home with like their families and stuff.
Mike
and seeing
Vrabel had a
their
dude on the
reaction.
toilet.
Yeah, his kids were like dressed as like aliens or something.
That was I mean, outside of the whole like having to stay
Well,
inside
and
thing,
Bill
but
Belichick had like his dog or whatever sitting in his spot.
yes. Yes, very, very good. Here's one of my favorite draft stories, and it's like back when, like, I miss the old days when like they would just knock out, what was it, 4 or 5 rounds on the first day, and it would like just go all day. So like it start at 10 a.m. Like, and I think the last year I did it was like a college year, so like that was, you know, lots of beers were consumed that day, but. It was I can't remember what draft it is, but the Raiders had the 7th overall pick and they were on the clock. And my friend was just having a good time. Let's put it that way. So he went to bed early. Next morning, I asked him, I'm like, so what do you remember about the draft? And he goes, I remember the first 6 picks. And then I saw the Raiders come on the clock and the commissioner went up and he said, with the 7th overall pick, the Oakland Raiders select Darius Hayward Bay.
Yeah.
Blackout.
Wow. Literally.
He's like, that was the last thing I remember. So,
true
exactly.
Raiders
He's not a Raiders fan, but I mean,
no, but they have the blackout.
The blackout. Yes,
the black
hole. Just get shanked with a piece of a seed or something.
Terrible name for your fans.
Yes.
Who wants to be known as the black hole? It's not
black hole inside the Death Star.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, the Johnny Manziel stuff, that was pretty fun in 2014 when like everybody wanted him, and then like everyone thought he was like drinking a beer in the green room.
Weren't far off.
They had to like go on Twitter and be like, no, he's not drinking a beer. You know what? He could have at this point.
There's another story I have from that draft.
Oh boy.
Because the Vikings obviously wanted a quarterback in that draft. So Manziel was like a rumored pick. So I think they picked 8th.
Everybody wanted him.
I mean, everybody wanted Johnny at that point. So I think they picked 8th, traded back to 9, and they took Anthony Barr. And my friend was sitting there watching the draft with me, and they show Barr, who's at home or whatever. I mean, not every prospect goes to the draft, but my friend just starts screaming like, he's not even at the draft. What is this? Why are you taking a guy not at the draft? Like, tensions were high. And then like, I remember, you know, the 32nd overall pick when we traded up for Teddy, like he was on the phone and I was just like, we took Teddy.
Mm-hmm. He was at the draft.
Teddy was at the draft. So we were happy. And yeah, a couple years later, didn't really work out so well, but yeah.
Oh, the draft.
2 weeks.
Yeah, no, it's a 3-day thing. Sunday.
Why?
Your brain is.
Why are they having it in Green Bay too? Like, this isn't even like a Packers thing.
Can it hold a million?
So,
people?
like, I guess like there's people busing.
They're gonna have to stay like what, a half hour away?
Yeah, people are like busing to Green Bay. Like, there's one taking off from Wausau, one taking out like from across the state of Wisconsin. They're all just converging on Green Bay.
I feel like a lot of people are gonna get lost.
It's gonna be a clusterfuck.
All those people that live like by Lambeau are gonna like regret living by Lambeau during the draft because people are just gonna be like standing on their lawn and stuff.
Embrace it, man.
Doing more than standing, probably.
Standing in something else, but just embrace it, man. Put some bags out there. Are you bags or cornhole guy?
We call it cornhole, but I've heard
It's
I've heard of
bags.
bags before, or as you guys say in the North Midwest, bags.
It's bags to
Right?
me, damn
There you
it.
go. Ba-
Yes.
Bags.
All right.
My
Yes.
final
Thank you.
overreaction. Here we go. Back on track. Of course, we always like to have one that's not really related to the Vikings, sometimes not the NFL, and I'm just going to go with that and say that the biggest bag fumble in the history of pro wrestling might be happening right now. So John Cena, he turned heel a couple weeks ago. Elimination Chamber. Big story. National news. World news. Just everywhere. Huge, huge news. It had the potential to be one of the biggest storylines in the history of pro wrestling. It's quickly turned into a giant dud in the last 3 weeks. Cena's a bad guy now, in case anyone didn't know. He was a good guy for 20 years. And now he's a bad guy. Instead of getting a new look or new entrance music, it's just the same boring Cena, except now they have him doing the boring recycled storyline of complaining about how all the fans don't like him and don't appreciate him enough. Like, we've never heard that before. Are people still going to watch Cena and Cody Rhodes when it takes place at WrestleMania 41 in a few weeks? Yeah, sure they are. I'm gonna. Yeah, but like, his heel turn made national, worldwide news when it happened, and instead of capitalizing on that popularity, WWE has done nothing, to me, notable with his character since then, and the excitement around his heel turn is pretty much fizzled, I feel like. So that's my final overreaction.
I would argue with you. It's not the only way WWE's fumbling the bag right now. Like,
All right.
I agree with you where that feud's just kind of lost its luster, and it's difficult because Cena can't be at Raw. I mean, they booked a farewell tour when he was already booked. So
I was gonna say, if he couldn't do the whole thing, then they
Right.
shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have done this
Yeah.
at all. Like, save it for something else. But like, if he couldn't have done the whole thing, then
And I
don't
mean,
do
they're
it.
trying to bake it into this is part of the heel character. It's like, no, he's doing movies. Like, it's not.
Yeah, people know where he is. This isn't 1980 where no one
Right.
knows where he is. People see him on Twitter getting coffee or whatever and hanging out with,
And it's not his fault. I'm not mad at like Cena or anything. It just feels like the road, like the whole extra week to WrestleMania.
It's very
Yeah,
patched
it
together.
really threw them off, I think.
And they had extra time, which makes it
Both
even
Royal
weirder.
Rumble winners are not in the main event. So I don't know. Raw ticket prices were $300 when I checked on Monday. For a Raw,
good
yes,
seats, right?
I sit in good seats when I go to wrestling. I mean, no. This
is
wasn't
not,
even.
it's not the
I'm sorry,
nosebleed.
this wasn't even like my seats because like I sit on the floor. I sit on the floor. Like, I went to Royal Rumble and I was sitting next to Jelly Roll like a couple years ago. Yeah, and it was awesome. But like, this was I think I saw a floor ticket for $700. And then I saw like in the seats in the lower level was like 300. I'm like, I'm not paying that for a Raw, especially when I have to drive 4 hours just to go to it.
Yeah, and I don't know. You could have seen what's his name? El Grande Americano.
Yes, the greatest luchador of all time, El Grande Americano from the Gulf of America. Yes.
Oh boy, yeah.
That's like one of the. But I mean, Jay and Gunther, I'm excited. Like Jay turning serious Jay now. It's like, okay, whatever. But I mean, there's not anything.
Why couldn't he do that from the beginning?
I mean, nothing really is grabbing me. Like, people were dunking on the Tiffany and Charlotte thing. I loved it. I'm like, I want to see Tiffany beat Charlotte's ass now.
Yeah. Now it's like
a fight. Like, it was perfect. And everybody's like, oh, this ain't it. What are you doing? No. Give me more of this.
It's like Rollins and Punk. They don't like each other in real life.
Yeah. And like, even that feud's just kind of like, eh.
And then what? And Kevin Owens isn't in there anymore because he's actually really hurt. And then like the whole Naomi thing where it's like, was she supposed to be the one in there? Or was it supposed to be Bianca? Like, it just, and then their triple threat where it's just like they keep going back and forth with Rhea not being in it and being in it. It's like, well, why just make it the triple threat at the beginning, and then figure out. It just feels like do this. Like I don't know what they're doing, and it's just confusing because they've had 2 extra weeks. So it's like they should have had more. They could have had more time to spread it out, but maybe it's the traveling to Europe and that threw everything off. Like before, that definitely should not be something they do next year.
That and have you seen ticket prices for WrestleMania?
Yeah,
They're like $3K. Like it's going to be the lowest attended WrestleMania in 20 years because they tried to price gouge everybody.
Our coworker Sarah, she said she's going to Vegas for WrestleMania, but she's not going to WrestleMania because it's so expensive. She's going to SmackDown, she's going to NXT Stand and Deliver, and she's going to Raw, but she's not going to Mania because it's just so expensive. But anything they do still isn't as bad as what they're doing over in AEW.
I felt for the people. Well, maybe I didn't feel for the people who bought it and like a 5-hour show and like.
If you're buying a pay-per-view for $50 or $60 or whatever they're doing at this point in your life, or at this point with AEW, you deserve everything that they suck at right now, because that's not worth that amount of money.
Not. Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. There's your wrestling chat. I got one more overreaction, and this is based off our trip from Phoenix. As I was saying, Adam and I were in Phoenix last week. We were part of the fan-sided Camp Everest, which is really fun. It was fun to meet a lot of cool people. Probably cool people I'll have on this podcast here sooner or later.
Yeah.
So
weird to see people with like legs. A lot of people were a lot taller than I thought they were. Because I've only seen the half of their body on Zoom calls.
Our boss, Jason Shandel. I probably just butchered his last name. Well, no, tall. Like it was funny because they're like, no, he's way taller than you think he is. So like we're like sitting here thinking, is he like 6'8", 6'9"? And like I saw him, I'm like, oh yeah, you're not that tall. I mean, you're tall, but you're not like Andre the Giant. And yes, and he laughed it off.
He wasn't like, oh,
he's got the little, it looks like a little Barbie, like the little Barbie cans, but like it's just a real beer. Hey, pretty lady, would you like a peanut? Favorite Andre the two. All right, off the rails again. Andre the Giant, the Princess Brides. Like the facts about him in that movie are so damn funny because I guess the entire cast was hungover because they tried to outdrink Andre the Giant every night. Yeah. So like they were just
they had like a gallon of wine and like a 30-pack.
Yeah, and like everybody tried to keep up, and it was a bad idea. And then I guess there was another day on the set where like Andre farted, and like everybody just kind of stared at him, and he looked at him and goes, "I am boss now." So that is great.
That's your boss.
That is that's my boss, apparently. Third overreaction. All the Small Things is a top tier karaoke song. It's what the kids call a banger. Actually, I call everything a banger. So maybe I'm a kid at heart. Someone may have jumped on stage at the retreat and belted that out last week. I'll give you a hint. It wasn't Adam.
Nope.
You know what factors? Like this was a very big decision for me because it was pretty intimidating because there was like most karaoke you have
a live band.
Yeah, you have like the generic track. This was a live band. There's a live band playing the songs, and like lights and everything. And my first choice was Queen, but they didn't play Queen. So I'm like, how are you a karaoke?
Queen what?
Fat Bottomed Girls.
Are we other champions?
Yeah, that's a. Have you heard that? But yeah, it's a banger, but as the kids say. But it has to be a song everybody knows and can sing along with, and it has to be a song that you can sing. Like if you're gonna go up and try and hit Whitney Houston high notes, you're gonna have a bad time. But people will think it's hilarious or whatever. Some people did it very well too. Like some people, you're like, oh, okay. That was also part of the intimidation factor. It's like we had some people at Fansided that just crushed it.
Yeah. I don't know why they're writing because they should be pursuing a music career.
Even the band, I mean, the bands obviously got their canned reactions. They're like, this is crazy. Like what's going on here?
You guys use sports writing?
But yes, my original idea was Smells Like Teen Spirit, which would have been funny, but
That's a good one.
nobody would have a clue what I was actually singing. Also, so I got the idea. Sweet Caroline is sang at every Minnesota Wild home game, which
and the Red Sox.
Yeah, because the Wild stole it from the Red Sox. Yes. And it's boring. It's absolutely, I mean, people know the song and whatever, and I'm not going to get into a whole trashing Wild stuff right now.
Why is that?
They're stuck in 20 years ago. They have the same damn play. I want to call out.
Well, shouldn't you be allowed to like, or not allowed to pick like a team song, whatever that's from before you existed? Because I know technically they were the North Stars, but they were the Wild in what, like
2001 they came in, and then they went to.
So they should have like Usher as like their like.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I know people on the game day crew, they do a great job, but the playlist and everything else, it's a vibe in there, and one I'm not exactly a fan of. But
no, you had a good pick.
Well, here's what I was going to get at.
Yeah.
So the Colorado Avalanche have done all the small things, and that's what came on. So like Padres. They sing it during every game, and I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool. And I went up there, and I had that bitch rocking like Jey Uso at WrestleMania, baby. Everybody was going nuts and everything. And you sat there, you're just like, it's killing it.
The ground was
shaking. Like that, not an exaggeration.
No. No, it was good. You did awesome. They do during the playoffs last year, the Padres sang all the small things too, because Tom DeLonge was actually there. So he had like 40,000 people singing the song that he wrote probably in like his basement or something like 20 years ago, which is insane.
Probably be a trip. What is your, so you don't strike me as a karaoke guy, but what is your choice?
No, if I was thinking about it, and if I was gonna pick a song, I was gonna pick "Fight for Your Right" by the Beastie Boys, because I knew that's like a fun song. I feel like with karaoke, if you're not a good singer, you have to find a song where like you can get people to either sing along with you or get audience participation. Correct. And I feel like a lot of people with that song would have been like, "Fight for your right to party." Yeah. But yeah, no, you did awesome. A lot of people there, like some girls sang like "Valerie" by Amy Winehouse, which is like an insanely difficult song. A couple of them sang like the Chapel Roan. I think that's her name.
Rolling in the Deep was sang.
Yeah. By Adele, yeah. And then there were some people who just had a blast and sucked at singing, but they had a blast as well, because it was just having fun, and I can enjoy that as well. But it was really fun. It was a cool experience because, like you said, I'd never been to karaoke with a live band.
And everybody kind of looked at it like, I don't know about this. And then it started getting going, and everybody's like, or as one of my other teammates said, hey, dude, everybody's hammered. Just go up there.
Yeah. No one cares.
Like, great time. But yes, I needed to pat myself on the back.
And they all handed everyone water so they could do a morning routine the next day, because they handed us that what's the water? What's the name of that water that guy uses?
Saratoga?
Have you seen that video of the morning routine? Yeah, that's what the water they handed everybody. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, look at this. This is funny."
Just bury your face in it.
Lots of fun stuff on that trip. It was a good time, and looking forward to it.
Very much. Well, that is pretty much it for overreactions today. We got our wrestling talking, we got our old man taken, we got a little music taken. But all of this stuff leads us to what's going on at the Viking Age.
What's going on at the Viking Age? Well, the draft's coming up in what, like a week and a half?
2 weeks from tomorrow.
No, 2 weeks. I'm thinking of WrestleMania, actually. Because the draft is what, the 24th?
Yeah, draft's 24th, and WrestleMania is the weekend before. That's how we think of things. It's like before or after WrestleMania. My birthday is before WrestleMania, but like WrestleMania,
Yeah.
birthday, WrestleMania, draft. Let's fucking go.
Oh, and the thing I wanted to say about mock drafts was it depends what mock drafts you
Sure.
look at, because there are people that have more intel and are probably right about these teams having interest in these players, which is why they are where they are. Like Daniel Jeremiah, I feel like he's very plugged in. So anytime he has a mock draft, I'm always like, oh. If Mel Kiper comes out with a mock draft, I feel like every pick is just hot garbage because he's not there for picks. He's there to just talk a lot. He knows a lot about the prospects.
Yes.
That's pretty much what he's there for.
He has no idea where they should go,
you...
but he knows all about them.
Nope. It just depends what you read. And then like even some of the best mock drafters are like the best they'll do is get like 10 picks out of 32 in the first round. Like I did an article a long time ago for like awful announcing, and the best person I think got like 12 right, and that was out of like 15 mock drafts. And I think it was Daniel Jeremiah. But that just shows you how much of a crapshoot they are, especially after like the first 10 picks. But to say that, we'll be having some mock drafts going up on the Viking Age coming up, and we'll be keeping an eye on other mock drafts, keeping an eye on any rumors that are popping up. Hopefully, Aaron Rodgers stays quiet because I don't want to write about him anymore. And yeah, this is kind of a weird time because it's like right before the draft, and teams aren't really going to sign anybody because they want to wait for the compensatory pick formula to reset, which will be right after the draft. But this is also the time where there's a lot of smoke. It is smoke season, as the kids like to say. I don't know if they say that, but you have to sift through the smoke because back in the Rick Spielman days, I don't think he smoked, but his office was just completely filled with smoke every
the tweet I send out every year. It's just Bray Wyatt laughing in the smoke, and it says NFL GMs be like.
Yeah, this is like all the stuff you see coming up. That's going to be like so and so, like Shadur Sanders or so and so thinks he's a 5th round pick or whatever. That's someone who wants him to fall and wants him to fall to them. So there's going to be a lot of smoke.
Where do you think Shadur goes
these next 2 weeks?
You think Cam Ward's going 1?
Yeah, that seems pretty set in stone. Unless I've heard chatter that the Giants want to trade up to get him, but I think because the Titans canceled like all their other quarterback meetings, I think after they met with Cam Ward. So I think that's going to happen. I think they have to. Like, what are their other options? They going to roll with Will Levis?
Yeah.
Take Abdul Carter.
Okay.
But and this draft is weird too because like there haven't really been any trades. Usually we see like a trade or two. I think this might be the first year, and I think I saw it a long time where every team has like its original first round pick.
Yeah,
I think that's right. And that never happens. So that shows you how much teams probably think of like this draft class because they don't really care. Steelers?
Yeah, I could see that. Just kidding.
I don't know if they'll trade up for him, but like who would? I feel like that's just one place where he could go and not be like a giant douche.
Yeah,
to be blunt.
I mean, he could wind up in New Orleans too.
Handled,
excuse me.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin's handled pretty much just about every kind of personality you could think during his coaching career, and that's why he's still in Pittsburgh. So I feel like if there's anyone that can handle not that Shadur Sanders was like a giant distraction, but everything that comes along with him, like his dad and his brothers and stuff, like that's something that I feel like Mike Tomlin
just going to give him the ultimate test, like DK Metcalf and George Pickens at receiver, Aaron Rodgers and Shadur Sanders at quarterback. Just like, oh, I got this. Or
it's like the Joker meme or whatever when he breaks off the pool stick. It's like
they just have one game that just breaks into a fist fight. Just those four going at it.
Yeah, don't people think George Pickens is going to get traded though?
Yeah.
because they don't think they can handle those two in the same room.
Some teams could be like, we could fix him. Yeah, good luck.
I think so. Steelers for Shooter Sanders, and then I think only 2 quarterbacks will go in the first round. I don't. Maybe someone will trade in the back half to get Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart. I don't know. Weirder things have happened in the draft.
I've heard the Browns maybe could trade back in the back of the first round to get Shooter.
Yeah.
That could be something that they do, but if you're Shooter Sanders, I know his dad's like, oh, I'll go to any team now. And that makes you sound like it doesn't sound like people think you're going in the first round, kid.
I'll go anywhere I'm taking.
So his dad's because if you really want to go to the Browns, that's probably a problem already. So
that definitely is.
But yeah, lots of fun stuff at the Viking Age.
And of course, I'm writing over at the Fansided Regional Betting Network. If you're curious on what's going on with the Lions, the Packers, and Bears, oh my, you can jump over there, check it out, and catch up on them with 2 weeks until the draft.
In baseball.
Yes,
I
don't write a lot of basketball. I don't write hockey at all. Yeah, but
no.
You can write. I write.
Never mind that. College sports, right?
No,
you guys do that sometimes. No,
none at all. It's mainly NFL and MLB, and then we do Lakers and Celtics stuff. So there it is.
Fair
but
enough.
We got a lot of it, so you should check it out.
Yeah,
also, if you're looking for my Viking stuff, it is over at zonecoverage.com. I did write about the potential about the Vikings taking a receiver in the first round of this year's draft because of Jordan Addison's status. So you can go over and check that out. And then
did you pick one? Did you pick one, or did you just name a few?
I just named a few, the obvious ones. You got Tet McMillan from Arizona. You got Luther Burden from Missouri. I mean, it would be sexy. It'd be fun.
State. We just posted a mock draft.
Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because we just posted our mock draft today from Cole, who writes for the Viking Age. He had Emeka Egbuka going to the Vikings in the first round after they traded back. So that's why I asked.
Wouldn't hate it.
I wouldn't either, but I think a lot of people would be like, "What?
Why are you taking a receiver?"
Yeah,
just don't worry about it.
Like you said with that, you just don't know. You don't know.
Yes, absolutely. But this is the Viking Age podcast. I am excuse me. I am Chris Schad. You follow me at The Real Chris Schad, Twitter, Instagram, all that cool stuff. Adam Patrick, he's on there as well, at Adam Patrick NFL. We do this every week right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day. But however you consume us, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode and we can spread the word to the masses. For Adam Patrick, I am Chris Schad. This has been the Viking Age podcast.